Hi, I'm Gerry Shamray. Let me take you back to the days of splendor, when I had the honor to work with Cleveland legend Harvey Pekar. He was the creator and writer of American Splendor, which gave birth to the autobiographical comic book. While I was at art school, drawing for American Splendor was the first freelance gig I got. It was a big moment in my life. Now here it is, 40 years later. Where did the time go? It was just yesterday that I was this little guy who loved comics. I learned how to read from the comic books that my mom gave me. I knew then that I wanted to be a cartoonist. My parents thought I had talent and paid for my education at the Cooper School of Art, a highly regarded art school that was in Cleveland at that time. I will always be in their debt for that wonderful gift. Thanks, Mom and Dad. I still recall the day the dean of the school told me about a phone call he got from some guy named Harvey. He was looking for a cartoonist to draw for his comic book that he published called American Splendor. From that title, I pictured a comic book about the adventures of George Washington and Abraham Lincoln. It didn't sound cool to me like drawing for a Superman comic. I thought American Splendor was going to be about boring history stuff. So imagine my surprise when I found out that American Splendor was actually an underground comic book. No presidents here. Just gritty stories, 4-letter words, and sex. Oh my. I was young, and I worried that my parents would never approve of me drawing for such a comic book. And I didn't want to disappoint my parents. That was very important to me. I tried to be a good kid. Well, my parents totally got it, gave me their blessing, and made me feel good about drawing for American Splendor. All that worrying for nothing. I was such a goofball back then, unlike the very cool artist I am today. Ha! I still remember meeting Harvey for the first time. I had to drive to the far east side of Cleveland, which was like visiting a foreign country for this young West Sider. Until then, I never drove further than the local record store. So I get to his apartment building, and I ring the doorbell. I could hear Harvey racing down the steps, hopping over many of them, and landing hard on the floor while he jerked open the door and said, "Are you Gerry?" Harvey told me how American Splendor was really the anti-superhero comic book. He explained his comic book was based on real stories filled with real people. No muscle-bound superheroes. He said he saw himself as a human tape recorder, recording ordinary day-to-day events, like eating potato chips. I swear this is exactly how he described his comic book to me. I felt I needed to be the human camera to illustrate his stories. So I pretended I was a film director, and Harvey's stories were film scripts. I shot hundreds of photos of Harvey like I was filming an actual movie, and tried to make the art as realistic looking as possible. In contrast, I loved how Harvey used stick figures in his handwritten scripts. I told him that this was the real American Splendor, and that he should print some of his stories just like this. I think he told me years later that he finally did. My favorite story I did for Harvey was, "I'll be 43 on Friday, How I'm Living Now." When I originally drew this story, I was nowhere near 43. Now today, I am nowhere near 43. I asked Harvey to sign one of the pages, and he wrote, "To Gerry, one of the finest comic book illustrators around today. He probably doesn't realize how good he is. That is the nicest thing anyone has ever said about me, and I got it in writing." Harvey was a one-of-a-kind individual. He embraced the ordinary and made it extraordinary, with his brilliant, insightful stories about day-to-day life. I was flattered that he trusted me with his stories. He treated me as an equal in the creative process. He actually made me feel like a real artist. And I do mean a real artist. I never wanted to disappoint him. Yet it is Harvey who is the real artist, who through his vision always inspired those around him, especially me. Thanks, Harvey, for adding some splendor into my life.